Hey, it's your old pal Lucid Stew again. The fall semester is over and I can finally share with you the quote-unquote finalized version of Fear the Dark for PC. If you've been following along at all, you know this game concept started in Dreams for PS4 as a 3D VR project, and I adapted it to a 2D pixel art game for a game design class at my university this fall. I had help. My teammates were Cole Dunham and Apo Kaftikian. Cole did the programming, Apo did the sound, and I did the art. Our biggest achievement is that absolutely everything in this game is by our own hands. We used no outside assets and created this game from scratch, concept to completion. When I came up with this idea, I thought it was original, but as Cole pointed out early on in the semester, the idea is similar to Amnesia: The Dark Descent from 2010 by developer Frictional Games. However, this implementation ended up being quite different from that, so maybe it's fairly original after all. We shall see as we exit the splash screen and enter the tutorial level. Fear the Dark on PC has a tenuous plot encompassed in a single note from doctor to patient, which you can see here. This note is followed up by a series of instructions on the basics of the game. The basic idea behind Fear the Dark is that you must keep your character in light, whether it be from a wall light or a lantern the character carries. The lantern burns fuel while the character is in dark areas, and that fuel must be replenished periodically. Otherwise, the lantern will go out and the character will lose sanity as they traverse dark areas which they fear. The areas the character is moving through are mostly dark to start, but there are light switches littered throughout the levels which allow the player to illuminate parts of the map. There's a key and lock mechanic for certain doors, but we didn't really implement this because we didn't realize until too late that the keys weren't working properly, so the mechanic was never set up in response. Honestly, the game is difficult enough as it stands, so maybe the locks will make an appearance in later levels to be added at a later date. We have a lighter pickup to reignite the lantern should it go out. This becomes important for reasons I will reveal shortly. The last idea presented in the tutorial level is that the elevators to each level are steam powered and can only activate with fuel from a lantern. So not only must you get your character to the elevator to end a level, but you must possess lantern fuel as well. The first real level is a warm-up level to ease the player into getting used to turning on lights, opening doors, and picking up lantern fuel, as these are the most basic components of the game. Each level opens with a note from what we surmise is the last patient to undergo this radical therapy, and gives a hint about what the player might expect from the coming level. This level is super easy just to get you playing. Now we want to ramp the difficulty up some, so we're going to introduce our first obstacle. Early on, we realized simply being in either light or dark wasn't going to be enough to keep the player engaged, so we needed other things that fit the theme. When thinking about mechanics, we considered what impacts the player and what we can do to alter the landscape in a way the player needs to respond to. In order to do this, we needed to take inventory of what helps the player, what hurts the player, and how. Wall lights help the player by keeping their sanity from decreasing. The lantern helps the player traverse dark areas where no wall lights are available. Darkness hurts the player by lowering sanity. Not having the lantern hurts the player, as a lack of one causes the player to lose sanity in dark areas. So the first thing we came up with is wind to blow out the lantern, thereby taking away that benefit. To balance that deficit, we needed to give the player a way of reigniting the lantern, so we introduced a lighter pickup. In this way, we can both take away and give back the lantern ability, which is a very important ability. This also serves to incentivize exploration. This was another problem we realized early on with just dark and light. There's a lot of space to walk around in, but not much to do other than walk through it. Looking for a lighter or keeping one in inventory helps fill that void a little. I don't want to reveal too many of the game's secrets or spoil it at this point, so let's continue on with this level, and I'll talk some more about mechanics, concepts in the abstract. Now that I think about it this way, we have placed wind in the hurt category and lighters in the help category. Nothing currently affects either of those, but you can see how that gives rise to adding a layer of gameplay. Maybe we could have a pickup or an environmental piece that causes the wind to dissipate or change direction, for instance. The element we introduce in the next level incentivizes the player to turn lights on so they can see and to keep their lantern fueled for the same purpose. This element falls into the hurt category, but it's more to give the player reasons to stick to the original plan of seeking light and avoiding dark rather than trying to sprint through everything. The basic gist is that it's something difficult to see in the dark areas that can hurt you, but it can also hurt you in light areas if you're not careful. That was another important goal because until we introduced this particular element, there was no way for the player to get hurt in light areas. And the last element introduced in the 5th level takes away wall lights. The previous element we talked about is passive. The player has to interact with it in order for it to affect the player. This means the player can camp in light areas as long as the player avoids that thing. We wanted to give the player a reason to move and not stay stationary. This is also an important element because wall lights are the player's biggest help. When we remove these, especially in sight of the player, we increase difficulty and give the player a reason to act. This is a hurt, but more in the sense that it removes a help, like the wind element. It does nothing to harm the player directly. After that, there is a boss battle where we combine lots of every hurt element in a small space and see if the player can survive to try to wrap things up nicely. With that, you have about 30 or 40 minutes of gameplay and a start of a real game that I'm going to continue working on. Unfortunately, Cole and Oppo are going to move on from the project, but if I can whip it up into shape, maybe I can talk them into coming back to it at a later date. The game is currently available on Cole's itch.io website. It's not totally polished and has some issues, but it is playable all the way through. Here is the URL. I will also place that in the description. If you have a half hour or so to spare, give it a shot. See how you like it, share your feelings in the comments or at me on Twitter, and please give feedback. While you're there, check out the plethora of other titles Cole has on offer. More videos coming soon. I will be back at work in Dreams making the Dreams version of Fear the Dark and other things as well. But that's all for now. Until next time, I'll see you in the Dreamiverse.